seated.
It's a good smell, isn't it? It's a pretty good smell.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Are we good?
Yep.
Congratulations. You never doubted this. We talked about this at spring training, that this is what this team was capable of doing through everything, the ups and downs, the hurricane, the injuries. What does it feel like to just be here now?
It's unbelievable. It's indescribable. When you get to spring, you know who you have, you see what you have, and there's always that thought of, we could do it, but 162 plus games is a lot of games, and a lot of things have to go right in order to get here. And our team believed in each other all year, and through the good times and the bad times, through a rough stretch in August, getting down 3-2 against a very good New York team. There's a lot of things that happen, and this is I'm so happy to be a part of it, to bring a championship back to a city that desperately needed one is a surreal feeling.
In the second row to your left, George.
Hi, George. Congratulations on your World Series championship. You were the one who was on the cover of that fateful Sports Illustrated 2014 cover, predicting that you all would win the 2007 World Championship. There was also questions about your World Series roster spot, seeing as you came in with 3 for 30 in the American League Championship Series. What are your thoughts on the fate of you being the MVP of this series and having the impact 5 home runs in the World Series?
It's crazy. I think as a player, when things don't start to go well, you tend to press. You tend to do things that you wouldn't normally do. And after the first game, I had a talk with Carlos Beltran, and he told me to just go out and kind of enjoy the moment, because he's been playing for 20 years and this is his second time here. So he told me to go out and be who you are and kind of enjoy it. And then I don't really know what to say after that. It's just I'm just extremely happy to be here, and for our team, our organization, our city, this is a great day.
In the second row on your right here, George.
George, over here. The home run today. Do you remember vividly hitting it? Do you remember the trip around the bases? Did you black out? Just take us through that.
I remember my plan and my approach was to get something out over the plate, get to something I could drive. If I was going to go down, I was going to go down on my own accord. And I just remember swinging and hearing the sound of the bat. And I knew it was a good sound, and then I saw the flight of the ball, and I got to first base and I rounded third and got home, and that's a crazy feeling. It's a very surreal feeling, because this is Game 7. This is what you dream of as a kid, and for that to happen is indescribable.
To your left, George, 4 rows back, Joe.
George, congratulations, and thank you for the great series and entertainment. Some people said the two teams mirrored each other, like two great boxers maybe going to the last round. At the very end, what do you think separated the two teams? What put the Astros on top of the Dodgers?
First and foremost, that's a great team over there, and they can score runs with the best of them, and they can stop you from scoring runs as well. And this was a dogfight. This was as hard a fought series. I mean, it's emotionally draining, physically draining. It took 7 games, but the difference, between us and them today was us scoring early. I think being able to put them on their heels early and not let them attack us was absolutely huge.
And we'll take 2 questions right up front here.
Congratulations on the win, first of all. And if you could, send a message to the Dodgers, it was a great series between 2 great teams. What would that message be?
Exactly that. It was this was a great series between 200-win teams, 2 great teams. 2 great offenses, 2 great defenses, 2 great pitching staffs, and 2 great pens. And wildness of this series, the wackiness of this series, the emotional ups and downs, you know, being able to play in this is something that I will never ever forget, even if this is the only time I will ever get here. And that's a good team over there, and I don't expect them to go anywhere anytime soon. You know, I expect them to be competing for a world championship for years to come.
Ron?
How would you say AJ has gotten you to this point? When to push you, when to prop you up, when to ease the pressure, when he needs to push to get a better performance?
Yeah, you know, he does a great job in figuring out his players, figuring out what makes them work individually. And AJ, to his credit with me, kind of all year, just told me to go play. You know, don't try to do too much. Don't get ahead of yourself. You know, go out and kind of enjoy the game. And after game one, he sent me a text and just said to kind of enjoy this because this is the best time of our baseball life. And you know, he stuck with me. He stuck by me, and you know, I will run through a wall for that guy any day.
And to your left, George?
George, when you came up in April 2014, one of the things you told us was you weren't really nervous. I think you compared yourself to a duck, kind of staying calm on the surface. Was that how you kind of got through the stretch, especially after game one when things didn't go really well? Was keeping your nerves at bay and staying calm key for you?
Yeah, you know, a lot of this for the players is all about experience. You have to go through it in order to understand kind of what everything is about. And the first game of the World Series, obviously, what wasn't the best game for me. It wasn't the best game for anybody. But I learned from it, and I learned how to kind of keep my emotions in check. I learned how to slow my breathing down, slow myself down, because this is a time where, you know, it's not just a game in June and then you're going to come back again the next day and play. You know, this is for everything, and you know, to have the experience in 2015 was obviously big, and you know, to understand that you have to slow yourself down and just kind of enjoy the moment was absolutely key for me.
Take a couple more. Anthony?
Hey, George, congrats, man. I got two for you. One, this is the first year they've named this award after Willie Mays. Does it feel appropriate to win it as a center fielder? And two, I understand you're often in charge of the music in the clubhouse. What was the selection before the game today?
Perfect time to walk in.
What a guy. Speaking of him, I won't talk bad about him anymore. Yeah, you know, I used to go in the backyard with my dad, and you know, he would hit me fly balls, and I'd pretend to be him. You know, I would pretend to be Willie Mays, and to earn this is great. You know, it's an honor, but it's not about me. It's about the team and what the team has done tonight, and I'm extremely happy for the team. And then also the jams today, I can say were on point. I went with my 80s playlist. I got the boys right, obviously. And then once Correa got a hold of it, it ended up being like Bad Bunny and stuff. I don't know if you guys know who Bad Bunny is, but I don't know who Bad Bunny is. But I do now, and it was a loose clubhouse. I'm sure he could tell you it was a lot of fun for us today.
And we'll take a last question for George
Just
from
wondering
Shelley.
if you wonder why the lenses on your goggles are dark when it's a night game.
It's a great question for New Era. I have no idea. Because you don't want to get the champagne in your eyes. I don't. I can see you pretty good. I can see everybody pretty well here.
Well, George, you can take your Willie Mays World Series MVP trophy back to the celebration.
All right.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Nice work.
So we will take questions for the manager of the World Series champions, AJ Hinch, and Jose Altuve. Guys, thanks for coming in. We'll let George and his family exit.
He's going to get the MVP of the league. So he's going to be like this.
All right, as George's happy family departs, AJ will slide over, and we'll take the first question for these guys from your left.
AJ, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
a week ago, I think there were some people asking you questions about possibly moving Mr. Springer around in the lineup. Just you stayed calm, you stayed behind him, and obviously he produced at a very high level for the rest of the series. Just your thoughts on his performance.
If you watch us play, you know guys like George, Jose, Carlos really bring it every night. And so when the stage got big and the anxiousness started, you just rely on your guys, And George, as one, when he goes, we all go. And I think that was seen the rest of this series. When he got going, it gets pretty scary, and he can do a ton of damage. But he's at the top of the lineup for a reason. He's he's the first hitter that we send up there to set the table for these guys in the middle of the order. But to get to a 7-game series, you're going to have some good games. You're going to have some games that aren't your best. But the belief in him in specific, or our players in general, will never go away from my chair.
In the second row, guys, Barry.
Congrats, AJ.
Thank you.
What was the feeling, and did you get a chance at all to see Doc on the field and talk to him? And obviously he's on the other end of the spectrum at this point.
Obviously with one man's celebration is going to be another man's demise. It's terrible to watch him in pain. I just before I walked in here, I had a private moment with him, and as always, he was full of class and appreciation for the moment. Being friends with someone is one thing. You get on the field, you can be competitors, but the bond and the friendship will never go away. We'll reminisce about this series once the dust settles, and we'll get together and get our families together this winter, because this was an incredible series, and I'm proud of him. I'm proud of the man he is, the manager he is, and he proved it again by how he responded to us winning.
Also, you had a lot of personal problems this year too. You have to get through.
Who? Yeah. No, it's not been an easy year for him, and on and off the field. I know they won the most wins in the league, and we won over 100, and it seems easy. And we never really share our personal sides that we're people too. We battle on and off the field, but it's a journey, and obviously it's very rewarding to get to the finish line and be the last team standing.
And to your left, guys, Joe.
Question for Jose. Congratulations and thank you for great baseball throughout the series and postseason. It's often been said that these two teams mirrored each other. Great talent, great effort, everything. My two boxers going to the last round, fighting, slugging it out. What do you think at the end separated the two teams? What put the Astros on top?
I think the key was we stay very humble about the team we are. We all know how good and how much talent we have in that clubhouse, but we never take it for granted. We also knew that we were playing the Dodgers, and they are, one of the best teams, most consistent teams in the league, and they were playing extremely good in playoff. So we went like that, and we, try to make every pitch count, every swing count, and I think we did the small things in baseball, everything you got to do. And of course, this man next to me, he did the move that he had to do. So I think we all were in the same page, and that's what it gave us the victory tonight.
And first row, Ron.
AJ, what are the things you've learned since you first started as a manager 8 years ago that you think you used over the last month, this series, this game, to make this team the team it was to get over the top?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind is this game's about players. The players are what makes it all go around. And as their manager, my job is to get the most out of them. My job is to push them when they need to be pushed, to hug them when they need to be hugged, to believe in them always, and set a culture that where they'll believe in themselves and they'll prioritize winning. Obviously, this sport is, there's an individual side to it, there's a team side to it, and as you grow together as a group and you have a common belief system and you're supported, it's amazing what you can do. But the players are really what makes the sport go. And the more you can get out of them, the more you can get them to trust you, to believe in you as a leader, the better you'll be as a manager. And that, I'm not sure you know that right out of the chute when you first get one of these jobs. At least for me, as a young guy, I didn't appreciate what it took to put your heart and soul into the players and let them see you for who you are, and in return ask them to be themselves.
Jose, what has he taught you that others in baseball haven't?
I mean, I think he gave us a lot of confidence. He's a guy that let you go like that and do your thing. But he also says something when he thinks he needs to do it, and that's what it's really fun to play behind a guy like this. Like, okay, he trusts me. But if I do something that, wrong or something, he's going to get out there and let me know. But he let us know what we have to do in the best way he could do it, Never lie. He never disrespect his player. He was very, polite. And the advices he gives you is in the best way. So I really appreciate he knows. I'm not very emotional, and I don't like to speak a lot. You can ask him. But I really have to give him a lot of credit because he really deserves it.
On the left center aisle.
Yeah, this question's for both of you. What was the plan to oppose you, Darvish, and talk about the success in carrying that plan out?
Ready to go? When you're going to face a high-end pitcher, and even though we beat him up a little bit twice this series, is not going to take away how good he is. We've seen him a lot in Texas. And obviously he's a difficult pitcher, and you have to pick a pitch. You have to find an area of the zone that you feel comfortable with and stay in the strike zone the most you can. If he gets you to chase, it's advantage Darvish. If he gets you to hit his off-speed pitches, it's advantage Darvish. So you have to be very disciplined, and we did that 2 games in a row where we got hittable pitches and did damage. But in the first game there was a lot of extra base hits, and we drove in some runs. Today, George delivered the big blow at the end, but how we scored our first couple runs of just manufacturing runs against a top-end pitcher like that, our plan was to make it tough on him and to give good, tough at-bats because we didn't know how long he was going to be in. This is the most creative team in baseball in how they use their pitching. So we said before the game we stood behind second base, you might only get 1 at-bat against Darvish. Now, I didn't know that was going to be because we scored a lot of runs. I thought it was just going to be how creative they were going to get. But the plan of attack, like always, is get a good pitch to hit.
Right center aisle there.
AJ, it was just over 2 months ago. I was with you guys in St. Pete, where you had been relocated, and there was, at the time, a lot of anxiety because everybody wanted to get home so bad, and you didn't know then when you would get back. Then you went back that weekend, and now I imagine everybody's anxious to get back to Houston for a whole different reason. Can you just talk about the amazing journey from there?
It started before Tampa. It started in Anaheim when the storm hit. And I'll tell a quick story about Jose, who was separated from his family, and with a lot of guys. And a lot of our families, some were with us, some weren't. And Jose came up to me and asked me, how long he'd have to play like this with his family back in Houston, getting surrounded by water. They were safe, but yet scared. And that's not easy to ask your players. Now, Jose, go out and get your normal 2 or 3 hits. Be the 3-hole hitter. Play hard and deliver us a win. And we did. We won a couple games along that stretch. But, if you want to humanize baseball, look at that story. And it'll show you what these guys go through daily, in their personal lives that leads to the professional lives. And then on top of that, I think we were able to really keep in perspective what was going on in Houston. The baseball was important. We were chasing a pennant. This is a team that wanted to win the division. We'd been knocked out of the division a couple of years in a row. But we never lost perspective of what was important. I saw these guys at the community center the day off that the Mets gave us on Friday night. I saw these guys do good deeds for people as they start to rebuild the city. And I think that's why the city fell in love with this team all over again, and why we had that Houston strong strength that carried us a long way.
Anthony in the third row.
Hey, Jay, congratulations, man. The way you used Morton was kind of similar to the way you used McCullers in your other Game 7 win.
Right.
Was that something scripted if you had a lead, or was it just kind of working off what
it sort of worked out that way? I didn't plan on pulling McCullers early tonight. I thought he was going to pitch a little bit deeper in the game, but what we were seeing was just some pitches that weren't being executed, and we felt like we could pass the baton on to the next guy, and we just would piece it together. We had every pitcher available, basically. And so as the game started to unfold, Liriano comes in and gets a huge out. Davinsky comes in and gets a huge out, and then really what pushed Morton into the game was the pinch hitting. Pinch hit Gaddis. They walk him to load the bases, which surprised me. It worked out for him when Maben popped up. But that got Morton in the game an inning earlier than we initially had anticipated. I was comfortable with him closing the game around 3 innings, but he did it with 4. But we had reinforcements if we needed help. And as much as I scripted this game, it never plays out the way you expect.
Take a few last ones on your right, guys.
AJ, please describe this championship team, one word. Please describe this team, one word.
Well, champion.
There we go. On the left.
Hi, AJ. You just talked about Jose Altuve and his family being separated from him with the hurricane in Houston. You then, I don't know, like, did you have to follow it up with what happened in Puerto Rico and
Sure.
with several of your players there?
Well, we had 3 hurricanes in a row, and the last 2 hit a lot of people around the league. It wasn't about the Astros, but a lot of our family, Astro family, was there. And second hurricane hit South Florida and got clipped some of the islands, and then the third one really did a ton of devastation in Puerto Rico. And we have a ton of Puerto Rican love on our team with Correa and Beltran and Juan Centeno and Alex Cora, our bench coach. We just really had a bonding experience when you're just getting beat by these hurricanes time and time again. So our owner stepped up through every hurricane and did something positive for somebody, and we'll continue to have to do that because as we celebrate this championship, somebody's still rebuilding their house in Houston. Somebody's still without power in Puerto Rico. Somebody is still devastated in South Florida. We'll continue to do our part to rebuild these places.
We'll take 2 final ones. Harash to your left, guys.
Jose, I see your phone there. You've been checking it a couple times. When you win a world championship, how many messages do you get, man? How many texts?
I don't know.
Do you get?
I've been checking my Instagram followers. they went up 20,000 the last 10 minutes. That's what I'm doing.
And the last question from Bradford on your right.
I have a question for Jose. Back in 2011, before your Instagram account had so many followers, when you were called up, that was the first of 3 100-loss teams in a row as you were trying to establish yourself. Is there any way you can just sum up what it feels like to go from those teams and breaking into the majors to sitting where you're sitting right now?
It's a crazy journey, man. But I think I was the only one in 2011, 12, and 13. Those 100 losses 3 years in a row. It's not easy, but I kind of believe in the process. I believe in what Jeff Luno and Gene Crane used to talk to me. Hey, we're gonna be good. We're gonna be good. So I was like, okay, then let me keep working hard. Let me, get better every year and try to be part of the winning team. I always believed that we're gonna become good. Then I saw Springer getting drafted, Correa, Bregman. I was like, okay, we're going. And we got to playoff in 2015. Very young team. We didn't have that much experience. We couldn't go farther. But last year we have another great year. I think it was a good year. We didn't clinch, but it was another good year. And then this year in spring training, I realized okay, this is the team. It's something in our clubhouse, a lot of chemistry, good relationship between players, coaches, players with everybody. And I was like, okay, I kind of believed it was the year everybody did it, and now we're here.
The world champion Houston Astros. Congratulations, you guys. Appreciate everything you did for us in October.